Welcome to the Off the Charts Football Podcast. Instead of our usual content, we're going to talk about something a little bit different today. Earlier this week, Las Vegas Raiders defensive end Carl Nassib came out as gay, a courageous disclosure that speaks volumes about his character. I can tell you from my experience with two NFL teams that character is a term that scouts toss around a lot in terms of evaluating NFL draft prospects. Specifically, we talk about this in two areas: personal character and football character. Personal character refers to everything from the obvious, like arrests, to a prospect's childhood friend group, to how well he worked with his college academic advisor. One time, while employed with the team, I actually camped out at a bar for multiple nights where I heard a high-profile player with character concerns like to hang out because all the coaches told me he was a model citizen and I didn't know what to believe. Sure enough, he showed up, and sure enough, I watched him get kicked out of the bar that night. Football character is a bit more specific, and it mostly comes down to how good a worker somebody is when it comes to football. The same way you would value positive work traits at any other job. It incorporates what type of teammate you are, how well you learn football, your level of commitment, your leadership, your ability to elevate the performance of those around you, and more. I didn't scout Carl Nassib when he was a third-round pick out of Penn State, but I can tell you that when a player rises from walk-on to NFL top 100 pick, these are generally not the types of guys that you have to worry about from a football character standpoint. In fact, his bio from Penn State notes in its first bullet point that Nassib was, quote, recognized as one of the squad's most tireless workers and was a standout in the strength and conditioning program and on the practice field, end quote. Clearly, his football character has never been in doubt. Personal character, on the other hand, is not as well defined as football character. And unfortunately, evaluating somebody else's personal character is one of the most subjective things that scouts are asked to do. Putting aside that it's almost entirely predicated on hearsay, personal character evaluations are completely in the eye of the beholder and riddled with bias. I say all of this because as I was trying to figure out how I could put Carl Nassib's announcement into context, I kept coming back to this concept of character, and specifically personal character. Before this week, the extent of what I knew about Nassib's character had to do with his stock market takes when he was on Hard Knocks. But based on his recent actions, he has displayed personal character that is self-evident. As he cited, studies have shown that young LGBTQ kids are 5 times more likely than their straight friends to consider suicide. And also, that all it takes is one accepting adult to reduce the risk of an LGBTQ kid committing suicide by 40%. With those numbers in mind, imagine what the impact could be of seeing an openly gay player accepted in the NFL. Nassib also put his money where his mouth is by donating to the Trevor Project, which works for suicide prevention among LGBTQ youth. But I can guarantee you that this was the easy part for him. What he did was difficult. It took courage and, well, character. Unfortunately, I can tell you from my experience in draft rooms that if a player's sexuality comes up in the context of his personal character, it's not his courage that's being discussed. Too often there is an implicit and often explicit concern that having an openly gay player could somehow disrupt the character of the locker room. The truth is that this is backwards logic. Nassib obviously enriches the character of the team. He is patently a leader. Nassib's teammates and the current group of NFL players across the league deserve credit as well. Displays of courage like this don't happen in a vacuum. And while we could lament that this didn't happen sooner, the group of players in the league right now have created an environment where this could happen. This certainly was not always the case, and it underscores the role that allies play in bringing forth progress. I'll say it again. What Carl Nassib did was difficult, and I'm here today to commend his true display of personal character. I firmly believe that his actions will make a positive difference in many lives, and through that, they will pay themselves forward. Being an ally is relatively easy, but it's also important. For all the scouts listening right now and anybody else, I challenge you to consider what personal character really means in this context. We'll be back Monday with a special episode and an exciting announcement.